Hi, this is Rabbi Chaim Kaufman. Someone asked me the following question, which I thought I would make a short-ish video on. And the question is, why we shouldn't let secular or goyish criticism affect us in a negative way. And how should we deal with said criticism from these people? So, first thing is, you have to know, where is the criticism coming from? Secular values and Jewish values many times are diametrically opposed. Right? Secular world, talking about a leftist world in most cases, a lot of things, certainly against Torah, certainly morals, other things as well. So we have to realize we have to have a little bit of a chip on our shoulder, and we have to realize we have the right thing. The Torah is true. It's not the purpose of this video. Try and show why the Torah is true, but we certainly believe that God gave the Torah to Moshe, passed it down to the rest of the Jewish people. God spoke on Mount Sinai, etc. So we believe 100% that we have absolute truth. Now, that being said, what about secular or goyish criticism? You can say, let's say, secular Jewish criticism, not just non-Jews. They make fun. Part of their thing to make fun is why? It's because they want to put you down in order to make themselves look better. You're like, these laws, they're so antiquated, they're so medieval, they're this, they're that. If I breathe on your kosher food, doesn't mean the food's not kosher. So the answer is no, it just has bad breath on it. You don't always have to answer what somebody says. What you have to realize is, why are they saying it? Where is it coming from? Is it, is someone critiquing because they have a question, they have a, legitimate question, and they want to know, or are they just asking for the sake of asking so they can make fun? Now, it could be that many times people will say things, and the only reason they say things is in order to poke fun. They're not interested in truth. They're not interested in you, quote unquote, your perspective. They'll throw something out there and then, maybe give you 30 seconds, to answer. But if they say something, they say, this Jewish person, this ultra-Orthodox person got caught for fraud. Okay? You got caught for fraud. Well, that's forbidden. You're right? It's forbidden. I mean, dialogue's not gonna go that far. Because they want you to, they want to pin you in a corner and say, look what someone looks like when they keep the Torah. Well, last time I checked, not everyone commits fraud. Right? Most Orthodox Jews don't commit fraud. You want to tell me there's some that do? Some get caught, some don't? Okay, you want to show me statistics? Yeah, are all ultra-Orthodox Jews criminals that, steal, cheat, do other things? Maybe some of them are. So what? The Torah says you're not allowed to. Okay, so these people, what they're doing is against the Torah. Many people do things against the Torah that aren't right. Right? Well, what does King Solomon say? He says no one's been in this world that hasn't sinned. Right? So that being said, even someone who keeps Torah is not perfect. We're not claiming he's perfect. So we can say, well, this person had his evil inclination, revved up that day, and he fell. People can fall in all kinds of different things. The problem is when it makes the press, when it makes headlines. If sell a newspaper, dog bites man, not such a big story. Man bites dog, that's a story. It's out of the ordinary. You tell me there are more people today in the ultra-Orthodox world getting convicted of things. I don't know what the stats are. Could be. It could be that's true, but it doesn't matter. What matters is that any ultra-Orthodox Jew has an obligation to uphold the Torah at the highest standard. If he doesn't, he could desecrate God's name, no question about it. Well, what does that have to do with anything? Someone's making the criticism, and someone's going to say, "Oh, look at them! Look at them! They're doing this and they're doing that. I don't do that, so why do I have to keep the Torah? If the people that are obligated to keep the Torah don't keep what they're supposed to, and you see from these individuals that they don't, but you're making an overgeneralization. If we were to say most Chinese people steal, that would be called racist. If we'd say most black people are thieves, that would be racist. If someone would say most ultra-Orthodox Jews commit fraud, that's racist. That's not true. It's certainly not true. The ones that break the law, okay. I'm not saying we live in a perfect society. In a perfect world, we're the ones who messed it up. But see, the secular criticism is there to knock us down. So if a person says that, your answer is, you're right, it's totally forbidden, they shouldn't have done it. Now, if they ask you why they did it, you don't have an obligation to answer. You have a hard enough time answering for yourself. Why are you going to answer for someone else? But you have to come out against it. Not necessarily the person, per se, but the act. You have to say, yeah, that's forbidden. Person's not allowed to. Why'd the person do it? I can think of 100 reasons, 1,000 reasons why a person might have done it. Right? Someone once told me, I saw an ultra-Orthodox Jew in a casino. I said, okay. They said, don't you know that gambling is forbidden according to the Torah? Yes. Well, what was he doing? If he knows it's forbidden, what's he doing in the casino? I said, he's probably gambling. Probably having a good time. Probably giving into his evil inclination. But if the Torah says, how could he do it? We're human. We make bad decisions. We don't always do what we're supposed to do. But see, people use that as a claim, as we mentioned before. People say, oh, this person did this. I don't do that. So I don't have to keep the Torah. If he can't uphold it, why should I have to uphold it? I mean, it's not really a logical argument. Right? Doesn't really matter, but that's what some people will say. Also, it's going to depend on what the criticism is. A lot of times there'll be criticism where it's just not true. People will say things and just... I've been attacked before. People say, oh, I don't have to keep kosher. No problem with trichinosis. What does it have to do with keeping kosher? Especially if you eat dairy. Especially if you eat potato chips. Oh, no problem with trichinosis. No meat. It could be way back when, things weren't cooked properly, etc. Okay, I get it. Well, that has nothing to do with kashrus. God says keep kosher because you have to keep kosher. You have to eat these animals are forbidden. There's ritual slaughter. There are different things involved. One possible explanation is we are what we eat, even though science hasn't proven it. So we don't eat animals that are carnivorous. Right? Jews don't eat those type of animals. We don't eat blood. That's why kosher meat is very salty. They do whatever they can to get the blood out. But it has nothing to do with trichinosis. So I think a lot of the criticism is unfair. Some of it may be true. Right? Certainly some of it may be true. So you have to call a spade a spade. If someone attacks and they have good reason. So we should say, okay, not everything people do is good. And that is permitted. But what does that have to do with anything? If they're asking, is this permitted or is it not permitted? Then you can have a discussion. Because they're asking, seemingly they're asking a serious question. But if they're asking just to make fun, and they criticize, why do Jewish women have to have so many births? So have so many kids? So you can answer, but obviously they have an agenda. Why can't women be called to the Torah? Why can't there's an agenda? And you're living in the dark ages. You're this and you're that. Most of the time, the attack is baseless. It's based on secular society, their morals or whatever. So my answer many times, and you can answer other things, but I would answer when someone say, look how many kids you have. Okay, what do you care how many kids I have? You're gonna say two parents can't raise so many kids? Not true. I think people for the most part do a good job. Kids come out all right. But the only system that works, the only system that has continuity, the only system that has real values, right? That's the answer. Because a person's morals change. It's called moral relativism. It's relative. Something that was like forbidden 40 years ago today becomes a mitzvah. So the criticism a lot of times is unfair. It's based on lack of knowledge. It's based on hatred, basically out of jealousy, or just basically out of, they want to come out against you because they think you're looking down on them. Which, the reality is that we just want to be left alone. We're not interested in, in downgrading people. But if they do things that go against the Torah, they say, well, you think it's forbidden. You think that you're right. I think, doesn't matter what I think. Does Torah say it's permissible? It's not permissible. Are you allowed to speak Lashon Hara? You're not allowed to speak Lashon Hara. So certain things don't fit in with people's quote-unquote moral outlook, or world outlook, let's say better. So it doesn't fit in with the world outlook, so most times the criticism, they have an agenda. They certainly have an agenda. So I would say 99% of the time, it's probably a waste of time to even engage in the discussion. You have to see where the question comes from. And that's why in the Haggadah it says, by the Rasha, Hakeh Shinav, you blunt his teeth. Why do you blunt his teeth? Give him an answer. Try and bring him closer. You can't bring an answer to someone who's giving you an answer. I think the Torah discriminates against women. You know what the answer to that is? You say, oh. I think the Torah, women should be called up to the Torah. Oh. I think, they go on and on. They get very flustered and say, why do you keep saying oh? Because you're not asking a question. So they have to 4 or 5 times and say, if I were to ask you, do you think Judaism is sexist against women? That's a question. Or when someone comes out with an agenda and says, I think this and I think that, there's no question being asked. You have to see where it's coming from. I don't think most people are necessarily that hostile. People ask questions to ask questions, in general. But you have to be a chacham b'eina b'roisha. You have to be wise with your eyes in your head. You have to see where the question comes from. If it's an attack, I just give a snappy answer and move on. There's no point. They're not going to listen. They're not interested. They have an agenda. But if they have a question, and they have a serious question because they want to know, and that they're interested, okay. So if you have an answer, give an answer. If not, say I have to look it up. I'm not the world's greatest rabbinic scholar. I have to look it up. I'll get you an answer. At least be honest. But an important thing is, if God forbid, someone, got convicted of something, whatever it is, the person has to condemn the action. Right? If it's true. Right? Who knows? It's true. It's not true. Let's say just for argument's sake it's true. So you condemn the action, not the person. Right? We're not going to defend what the person does. We'll say, that's terrible. You're right. It is. That ends the conversation. What else are they going to say? I can't believe person is. You're right. It's forbidden. Person never should have done it. Totally against the Torah. So why'd they do it? Why do people smoke? Why are they overweight? Well, those are questions I don't answer. But when it comes to something like this, you have to know where it's coming from. You have to know where the critique is coming from. And I would say most likely they have an agenda. If they have an agenda, then I would just give a snappy answer and move on. Or just say, you're not going to listen anyway. What's the point? You have an agenda. Right? Move on. So I hope that answered the question. Anyone, has any questions for me, you can send it to my Facebook fan page, Beyond Orthodox Conversion Judaism. Send me a text there. You can also send me an email at rabbichaimkaufman@gmail.com. RABBICHAIMCOFFMAN @gmail.com. Bring on the questions. We love them.